Thanks again, everyone, for joining. This is the Botsociety Workshop, getting started in conversation design. And in this workshop, I'll guide you through the basics of conversation design. And basically, we're going to start from scratch on Botsociety and get to a full conversation design file that you can use for your presentations, portfolios, and more. So first thing first is the workshop is for Botsociety. So what is Botsociety? It's a conversation design tool. It's a lot like Sketch or Figma. You can think of it as something like Sketch or Figma, but instead of a design tool for graphic design like Sketch and Figma are, it's a dedicated design tool for conversation design. So conversation design is this emerging space in the design world, and designers that are working on these projects need to have their dedicated design tool for these projects because the other design tools are kind of workarounds because they don't really have dedicated features for designing conversational flows. So that's where Botsociety comes in. We created this dedicated design tool for you designers, so you can design conversational experiences, from scratch to all the way getting to a prototype that you can test with user testers, and also something that you can hand off to your engineering team so that they can actually develop your design and then deploy it into the environment that it was intended for. All right, so first thing on our agenda is sign up for a free account on Botsociety. If you want to follow along with me throughout the workshop, then you can sign up for free. There's no paywall. You don't have to put in your credit card or anything like that. You can just sign up. And then as I'm going through the workshop, you can work on your computer and design with me. So once you do that, once you sign up, what you'll see, so I'm going to log in here, is your dashboard. And so this is the first thing you see on Botsociety. This is where I have all of my design files. And there's a couple of things to think about here. So we have our drafts, and then we also have some team spaces. And so I'll just quickly go through this because just so you know how to navigate your way around Botsociety. So drafts is where I have my personal design files. And these are all design files that are private to me. No one can see them unless I share them with somebody. For example, if I wanted to share this 7-Eleven design, I can click on the share design button and then share it to somebody, share it with somebody. Otherwise, they're private to me. And then here I have my team spaces. So these are my spaces where like I'm on a team with other people. So for example, if I click on the Botsociety sales team space, then I have myself and then some other people on my team with me. They all have can edit permission, meaning they can edit the design files that are in this team space along with me. But I can also actually add people to this team and give them can view permission, or I can remove them if I wanted to as well. And can view permission means that they can't edit anything. They can't change any of your designs. They can't create new designs in that team space, but they can view your design file and they can also leave comments on your design file using the comments feature. So if you wanted to just share it with somebody and gather feedback, you can do that with the can view share feature. Okay, so going back to my team space here, I have some folders, project folders. I'm going to click on demos to see what design files I have in here. And so here I have my design files, and then I have some more folders that I can put my design files in if I wanted to. And I can toggle my screen if I wanted to see this differently. But okay, so I have a design file that I want to show you later on in the workshop. So I'm going to open that up with a right click, and that'll open it up in a different tab. And then for now, I'm also going to create a new design. And you can also create a new design by clicking on this plus bubble in the bottom right, or just here. So I'm going to click here. And the first thing you see is we ask you to pick a preset. And so this is the new design screen. this is where we ask you to pick a preset because that's the preset that you'll be designing on or designing for. So if you're working on a WhatsApp bot or a Facebook Messenger bot or an SMS bot or an Alexa skill, you pick the corresponding preset. You can think of these official presets as templates for those messaging platforms, those messaging channels, or conversational channels in the case of the voice channels. Or you can think of them also as design guidelines, because if you are designing a WhatsApp bot, for example, this one here, then you're going to want to pick this preset because it acts as a design guideline in the sense that all the different types of messages that you can add on that preset when you're designing on Botsociety, those messages are the ones that WhatsApp supports. So if there's an option to add a simple text message or an image or a carousel or quick replies, those are all message types or types of messages that WhatsApp supports for WhatsApp bots. And that's important because you don't want to design a WhatsApp bot with messages that WhatsApp doesn't support, right? Because then you design it, you hand it off to your engineering team, or you yourself tackle the engineering, and you realize very quickly that, oh, I can't develop this because WhatsApp doesn't support this type of message, right? And a good example is if I clicked on SMS, SMS doesn't support rich message types. It doesn't support things like quick replies or carousels. So you shouldn't be designing a SMS conversational flow, an SMS bot, with carousels and quick replies, because then when you go to try to develop it, you won't be able to. So that's how these presets are guidelines. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on your own app or website. And this is for if you're not designing a bot for WhatsApp or Messenger or Apple Business Chat, anything like that, but instead you're designing a bot for your own app or your own website, either something that you're building yourself, or if you're a company and your company has a mobile app or a website that you're now going to put a chatbot on or a virtual assistant on, then you're going to want to pick this preset here. It's like a generic preset that has some customization to it as well. So if I click on Start Designing, boom, it's going to open up the design canvas on Botsociety. Okay, so a couple of things to look at here. So we have our design canvas, and already we have a path, and it's untitled for now because I haven't edited anything yet. And I can move this path anywhere I want on the canvas. I can also hold my space bar and then click on the screen and drag around on the canvas, right? So this is me dragging the canvas around, and this is me dragging the path on top of the canvas around. And then if you're on Mac, if you hold Command, or if you're on PC and you hold the Windows button and then scroll in and out with your mouse, then you can zoom in and out on the canvas, right? So I can zoom all the way in, I can zoom all the way out. I can hold the space bar and move the canvas around, and then I can zoom in and move the path around wherever I want. So those are important features to familiarize yourself with, because they're going to be very useful as your flows get bigger and bigger and more complex. You're going to want to be able to navigate around them easily. Okay, so before we get into chatbot ideation and persona and then designing the happy path, just some basics here. So since I have my path, you can also see that there's 2 buttons. And so the logic here is that we have a button for bot says and a button for user says. And so what you're doing is you're designing a path and you're adding messages from both the bot and from the user. So if you wanted to add a bot message, you click on bot says, and then you can just start typing your message and then click add. And this is a simple text message. I can click on the drop down here to pick an image if I wanted to make it an image message, or carousel, buttons, quick replies, right? So this is all for the bot side. And then if I click on user, it says this would be us adding messages from the user side. So I can just start typing. And then for this generic preset that we're working on, your own app or website, we have simple text and image as message types that can come from the user. Okay, so now to get into the agenda for the workshop, things we'll cover. The first thing, now that we've signed up on Botsociety and we've familiarized ourselves with the basic features, is chatbot, ideation, and persona. So in general, Botsociety is also a great tool to start ideating your chatbot and the types of use cases it's going to handle, and also what type of persona you want your chatbot to have. Because like I showed you, it's so easy to just start typing messages. So, you know, if you're the type of person that wants to start ideating and coming up with the persona just by doing, just by getting into it and starting to work on the content, then you can do that. And you know, you can organize your paths, you can rename the paths however you want. Maybe you can, for example, like create a path and name it something like witty, and then you start designing a conversational experience where your bot is kind of more witty. Or if I clone this path, place it here, then I can name this one sad. Actually, I'm going to name it serious. So we can start thinking about, okay, what would it look like if my bot was witty? What would it look like if my bot was serious? So you can do that on Botsociety. But a lot of times conversation designers, they use different tools or different methods rather to come up with to ideate about their chatbot and the chatbot persona. So, you know, if you're the type of person that wants to use pen and paper or some type of like flowchart tool where you create blocks about what the chatbot is going to handle, or like a post-it software, or just post-its that you have lying around, then you can do that. Conversation designers do that way before they get into Botsociety sometimes. So once we do have that chatbot, you know, those chatbot use cases, we figure out what the chatbot is gonna serve users with and what type of persona it's gonna have. Then you get into Botsociety and you start designing. And the first thing that you want to start designing is happy paths. And that's the next topic on our agenda. So remember I opened my Starbucks design earlier in this other tab. So I'm going to start tackling this design file. Let me move this over, by designing a Starbucks experience. And what I want to design is a use case for Starbucks where the chatbot can help a user order coffee. Okay, so I'm going to name this my order coffee path, and I'm going to name it happy path so that I'm differentiating that this is my main path for this use case. It's my happy path. And so what is a happy path? I'm going to name this also workshop. So a happy path is the best interaction possible between the user and the bot for that specific use case. So if our use case is ordering coffee through this chatbot, then as a designer, I'm going to want to design this experience, this path, to be the best interaction possible between the bot and the user, where the bot helps the person order coffee. And that's our starting point. We always want the starting point to be the happiest and the best interaction possible. And from that starting point, from that happy path, then we later design those branches, those unhappy paths that come off of the happy path to solve, you know, several hurdles that the user may or the bot may run into as they're interacting with the user. So for example, if the user is confused about a question, then maybe we have like a fallback path where we help the user figure out what the question is. Like maybe we clarify the question, or like a repair path or a shortcut path. There's all these different paths that we can design that come off of our happy path. But to start, we want to design a happy path. We want to design the best interaction possible for this use case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the conversation with the bot saying something like, "Hi there, I'm the virtual assistant for Starbucks." And then let's make another sentence. "What can I do for you?" All right. We also have keyboard shortcuts, actually. So if you do Command Enter or Command Return, it adds the message. Boom. Super fast. And then I can switch to the user side and I can write, "Can I get a coffee?" Boom. So just like that, we've added two messages, one from the bot and the other one from the user. And we've started designing this order coffee path. A couple of other things that you can do now that we're designing this path is you can actually drag and drop your messages. So if I wanted the user to start the conversation and I've already designed the user message, I can just drag and drop it to the top. So at any point when you're designing your path, even if it's very long, you can add a message to the bottom of the path. And then once you add it, you can drag and drop it up to the top. And if we have multiple paths, then you can drag and drop paths from one path to another path. So it's a drag and drop tool. Okay, so I'm going to drag this back like this, and then add my next message from the bot, which is, "Yes, I can help you order a coffee. What kind of coffee would you like?" Okay. So I'm going through, and since this is the happy path, I'm assuming that on my happy path, the user knows exactly what coffee that they want, right? So they don't ask, on my happy path, they don't ask what kind of coffees we have. They already know what they want. So what the user would say on my happy path is something like, "Can I get a, oops, can I get a flat white?" Boom. Okay. And so naturally we would keep going. The bot would say, "Yes, a flat white, great choice," something like that. In my case, my bot persona is a little fun. It's not too serious because all we're doing is helping the person order coffee instead of something like helping them with their taxes. So we don't need to be too serious. We can be a little fun. Okay. So this is me going through designing my happy path. And I want to go back to this point here. "Yes, I can help you order a coffee. What kind of coffee would you like?" And in my happy path, it was, "Can I get a flat white?" So this is where we can start thinking about designing paths that come off of the happy path, right? So the next thing that we have on our agenda is structuring our conversations with buttons and quick replies. But before I get to that, actually, I want to show you how you can design this path that comes off of the happy path, because we know that the person is not always going to say exactly what they want. Sometimes they're going to ask what the menu looks like. And so to design that, we're going to want to design another path. So if I click on this message here to open up the editor, you'll notice that there's these icons in the bottom. So there's icons like duplicate, delete, save, all these things here. And one of them is create path. And so if I click on this, it will create a path that comes out of this message. So it's like we're creating a fork in the road, right? So after this message from the bot, there's two scenarios. One where the user says, "Can I get a flat white?" and another where it goes onto this other path where the user says something else. So if I click on create path, place it here on my canvas, now we have another path. And I'm going to have the user say something like, what kind of coffee do you guys have? Like that. And I'm going to name this path coffee options. Okay. And so this is how I want to structure my conversational flow. And so from this, from the user asking this question, the bot may provide the user with a list of coffee options that Starbucks offers. So we offer the following: latte, white, Americano, drip coffee, something like that. Okay. So I'll enter that. And now, since we've given the user the options from which they can order, now we can assume that after this message, the user is going to say which coffee that they want. So if they do that, then what we're going to want to do is link this path by clicking here to this message, can I get a flat white? Like that. So now we've created a path that comes off of the happy path and links back to the happy path once we've helped the user with that question that they had, which was not originally part of our happy path. So to visualize this, if I press play, you can, there's a play button at the top here. If I press play, then I can see this experience play out. Hi there, I'm the virtual assistant for Starbucks. What can I do for you? Can I get a coffee? Yes, I can help you order a coffee. What kind of coffee would you like? And then here's that fork in the road that I was talking about. So either they continue on this path. This is, I'm choosing what I want to preview next. So either I continue on the happy path. So I click on, can I get a flat white? Or I'm going to preview this different path, which is coffee options, which the user on this path says, what kind of coffee do you guys have? So if I click on this, it'll go onto that path. The bot provides the different types of coffee, and then it goes back to the happy path and the conversation continues. Okay, cool. And once you finish this play mode, to exit out of it, there's this stop button here. So if I click on this, I get out of that play mode. Regarding the play, so you see how there's a play button at the very top right. So I can click on that to play the whole experience from the top, like I just did. Or if I wanted to just preview this path, so I don't want to see this beginning part of the path, I just want to see this really quickly, there's also a play button at the top of every path. You see that? So if I click on this, it'll start playing this path right away so that I can preview it. Cool. All right. So we've designed this portion of our happy path. And so I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to cover now the next thing on our agenda, which is structuring your conversation with buttons and quick replies. So let's go with, we have, yes, a flat white, great choice. Is regular milk okay for you? And on our happy path, I'm going to have the user say something like, have oat milk. Oat milk flat white. Okay. And now we have a point in the happy path where I want to use quick replies. So this is structuring our conversation with buttons and quick replies. So what I can do, if I click on bot says And I have this drop down here. So instead of adding a simple text message, I want to add quick replies. I'm going to create a message where I give the user options so that they don't need to reply by typing anything. They can just click on one of those quick replies, or some people call them chips. So chips or quick replies. So I can make one of my quick replies, yes, oat milk. I'll add another one, no, keep regular milk. And then let's do another one, which is other milk. Okay. So I've added these 3 quick replies here. And now what I'm going to want to do, because I don't want to add any more, I'm going to add the message, the whole message. So if I click here on add, we get this, this drop down that pops up. And there are 3 different options. So the first one is create a path for each button. What that means is that we're going to design a unique path for each option. So there's going to be a unique path for yes, oat milk, a unique path for no, keep regular milk, and a unique path for other milk. And we would want to do that if each of those options deserves a unique path. Like none of those options continue on the happy path. They have their own separate path. That's not the case for my design. So let's look at the other options. We have continue in the same path. That would mean that no matter what option they click on, what quick reply they click on, the next message in our path is always going to be the same. So they can click on oat milk or keep regular milk or other milk, and no matter what they click on, the next message is going to be the same, no matter what option they chose. That's also not the case for my design. I want to pick the third one, which is happy and unhappy paths, which means that the first option, so yes, oat milk, that's going to continue on my happy path. So if they click on that, it's going to continue on the happy path, and the next message is going to be right underneath this message. And then the other options, so no, keep regular milk, and other milk, those are going to be, those are going to have dedicated paths that are off of our happy path. And they're going to be unhappy paths. So let me click on this and show you what this looks like. So I'll click here to place the path on the canvas. That'll place both of those paths. And then the yes, oat milk, that selection continues on the happy path like that. Okay, so now we've created, you see, if I create a quick replies message, it automatically creates the paths for me. If I selected one of those options where it does create paths for you. So I have this no keep regular milk path, and I have this other milk path here. So I'll just move those off to the side, and I can design them later because I want to keep designing on this happy path. Okay, and then so that's quick replies. And then another thing can be, another message that we can design is buttons. And so for buttons, maybe the next message that I'll design is a buttons message where the bot says, great, oat milk it is. At which location would you like to pick up your order? Okay. And then same logic as with the quick replies, we can start typing our buttons here. So I'll come up with some locations. So let's do Santa Monica. I'll do West Hollywood and downtown. Let's say those are the 3 locations at which Starbucks is. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there and just do these 3 locations. And now if I click add, we'll see that these options again. And for this, the way I want to structure my happy path is I'm just capturing which location they want to pick their coffee up at. And for me, the experience, I don't want it to be different depending on which location they're picking up their coffee at. So I don't want to have a dedicated path for if they select Santa Monica, or dedicated path for West Hollywood or downtown. I want the next message to always be the same. All I'm doing is just kind of capturing that data. I'm capturing at which location they want, but the next message is going to be the same no matter what. So for that, I'm going to click on continue in the same path, like that. And you see it added this message here, and it says type here, so I can edit this message and decide what I want that message to be after they clicked on any of those options, because it's going to be the same message no matter what option they selected. So I'm going to do confirmed, preparing your order. We'll send you a confirmation email and text you something like that. Text you when your order is ready. And then maybe I'll do help you with anything else. That, boom. And then maybe I'll do one more message on my happy path where the user says, thank you. Okay, cool. So there we go. Look at this flow that we've designed so far. So we have this happy path for order coffee, and it goes from the beginning where the user asks, can I get a coffee, all the way to the end where we help them order the coffee and we confirm their order, and the user says thank you. So it's the best interaction possible for this use case. And along the way, we designed some other paths, like this coffee options path. What kind of coffee do you guys have? We offer the following. And then also some options here. These would be unique experiences because they chose regular milk instead of oat milk, or here they're asking about other milk. So maybe we would design something similar to this path that we have here, where it's coffee options. We would have a path for milk options. And then once we help them figure out the milk, we would link it back to our happy path and help them with confirming their order. Okay, cool. So that's designing the happy path and structuring your conversations with buttons and quick replies. And we also designed some dedicated repair paths. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to show more examples of designing dedicated repair paths. And I also want to show you designing a general repair path. So for that, I'm actually going to open up another design that I have, this one here. And so for this one, and this is actually the one that I'm referencing on my other computer here, because I have up 2 monitors. And that's why you see me in this design file twice, because I have it open on 2 browsers. Because we actually support real-time collaboration, which I'll show you later on once we get to the collaborating on your design with teammates section on our agenda. Okay, so I have this design. You see here, I have the same path that we just went through and designed, the order coffee happy path with our other paths that we have here. And then I actually also designed some other use cases, like book appointment happy path. We did some more quick replies and buttons all the way through. And then we also have here another one, which is curbside pickup happy. I'm outside for curbside pickup. And for here, we designed an experience where we designed a repair path where the person says that they have an issue with their pickup. So the logic here is that I'm designing my happy path. So hi, I'm outside for curbside pickup. Hello, I'm Star, the virtual concierge from Starbucks. I'm here to help you with your curbside pickup, but first I need to gather some information from you. What is your full name? I give them my full name, but we've created that fork in the road that I showed you how to create earlier. And for this one, when we created that path out of this message, remember you click on the message and you click on create path. When I did that and I placed it here, I made the user say I have an issue with my pickup. Okay, so that triggers a path. This is a repair path that doesn't link back to the happy path because it's a entirely different scenario where we're no longer going to help the user with their pickup. Now we're going to help them resolve their issue that they have with the pickup. So the next message that I wrote is, uh-oh, sounds like you are having a problem. Can you describe it or pick an option below? I gave them some quick replies, right? So if I click here and you click on quick replies, that's how you design them. And then I chose to have a unique experience for each option. So that means that no matter like whichever option they click on, it'll take them to a path where there is a unique experience. So if they click on nobody arrived, it takes them to the nobody arrived path. If they click on the product is wrong or damaged, it takes them there. And if they click on I can't be there, it takes them here. Okay. So that's what I did there. And let's actually preview what this looks like. I'll start actually here. So I have an issue with my pickup. Uh-oh, sounds like you are having a problem. Can you describe it or pick an option below? Nobody arrived. I can't be there. The product is wrong or damaged. And so if I click on, let's do I can't be there, it'll take us to the I can't be there path. Okay. So it sounds like you can't get in front of our store in time for the pickup. I can help you reschedule or cancel your order. How would you like to proceed? I'm going to do I want to cancel. And that's going to take us to a I want to cancel path. So another path that comes off of this path that doesn't link back to that path because this is a separate experience with its own resolution. Sorry to hear that. What is the reason of your cancellation? I'm switching to delivery. Got it. All right. I went ahead and canceled your pickup appointment, and I'm confirming that your order has been switched to delivery. You should receive a confirmation email from us. And these are such things. And that's the end of that. So here I'm designing all these different paths, and they are unhappy paths, and they're paths that have different use cases from this one here where I had my curbside pickup happy. Another thing that we can do is we can also design a general repair path. And so what that is at any point in the conversation, if the user says something that confuses the bot, or the user is confused and they say something like that they're confused, we can design a general repair path. And what we can do with that is I can actually create a separate path on its own, like I did here. How to do that is you can actually click on the hamburger menu in the top left here, click File and New Path. That'll give you this new path, and then I can scroll over here and place it on the canvas. And now I have this new untitled path. And so for this, I can design this general repair path if I wanted to, that can link to all of my other paths. Or I can just, I don't have to link it in my conversational flow. Instead, it can just be this general repair path with its own general fallback intent. And so it's triggered every time someone says that they're confused or something like that. So I'm going to name this general repair path. And I'm going to have the user say something like, I don't get it. Actually, let me design something like, what can you do? That's a popular one. A lot of people, when they interact with bots, like to ask what the bot can do. And so maybe this is our general repair path. So if the user says, what can you do? The bot should have a response for every time the user asks that question. And so what we can design is something like, let's say, I can help you with ordering a coffee, or let's see what else we have here. We have curbside pickup, order coffee, Okay, let's do ordering a coffee. Then I'll add another thing here. Whoops, connection problem. Can you, Vittorio, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me just refresh my design. Maybe my connection cut out for a second. Sorry about that. Okay. So since I didn't save that message, I have to write it again. Like order coffee or choose from the options below. Maybe we give them options like that. And then we can add another message here, quick replies, and we can do order coffee and curbside pickup. And I'm actually going to create a path for each button. But since we have those paths already, what I can do now is also drag them over here. And I'm going to delete these. So you can delete the connections by clicking on them, and then an X pops up. So you can delete it like that. Or what you can do is you can click on the connection, and you see that there's these nodes on either side of the message or either side of the connection. And you can actually click on one of those nodes, and now you've picked up that connection. So what I can do now is I can place it on top of one of these paths. Oops, I just clicked on the admit button to let someone into the call. So if I wanted to do this, I can click on top of this path, and now I've connected this. Oops, I did the wrong one. So let me click here and connect it to this one. So curbside pickup to curbside pickup, and then click again on this, order coffee to order coffee, like that. So if the user does say something like, what can you do? And we give them the options here, order coffee or curbside pickup, they can go onto these paths here, order coffee and curbside pickup. So that's how you can play around with the connections. Okay, so we've designed the general repair path. We've designed some dedicated repair paths. I've showed you how to do structuring your conversation with buttons and quick replies. We designed a happy path. Now, since we have this big design, all this stuff going on here, we actually go here and delete this. I don't want these. And I also don't want this. So now that we have this design, what I can do is I can show you how to collaborate on your design with teammates. So I have this other, you see there's two of me. So what this is real-time collaboration. So if you're working in a team and you're working on a design together with your teammates, what you can actually do is either if it's in the team space, the design file is already in the team space, both of you guys can just enter the design file together and work on it together, or you can click on the share button. So if I click on share, then I can invite someone to join this design with me. Geez, my connection. You can still hear me, Vittorio?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Work from home struggles. Things don't always work the way they're supposed to. Okay, so back to this. So if I click on share and I want to invite someone to this design file to design with me, I can put their email in here and then give them editing permission, right? Instead of just the canned view, give them editing permission, send the invite, and they'll get an email. And upon opening the email, they'll have a little link there to enter the design file. They click on that, they'll join me in this design file, and we can work together. And I can see their movements. For example, if I go onto my other screen, you'll start seeing my mouse moving around. You see that? Let me go back here and close this, and then go back here. See how my mouse is moving around. So this is from my other browser. So I have this one where it's teal, this blue. And then if I go back to this design, I have my own mouse, which is in this case green. So both of us are working in this design file at the same time. And there's no limit to how many people. So if there's 10 of you on your team, you can all work on the design together. So that's how you share with inputting their email. You can also copy a link of this design and share it with anyone. And if they have editing permission, they can edit. If they don't, then they can leave comments and view your design. So you can do that like that, and then just, they can put it in their URL or just open it. And you'll also notice in the URL here that there are actually coordinates. So X and Y coordinates. And those change as I navigate on my canvas. And the reason for that is because if I wanted to, for example, let's say I'm looking at my design and I want someone on my team to check out this path I want to cancel. So I can actually position this path on my canvas like this, so that the X and Y coordinates in my URL.
I can't hear you anymore. No?
You can't hear me? Hello?
Now, yes.
Okay. So if I'm looking at this canvas and I want to share this specific path with someone from my team, I want them to look at it, then I can position it on my canvas. Then I have the X and Y coordinates of this point on the canvas, and I can share this link. And so when they open it, they'll land exactly on this point on the canvas to look at the same path that I was looking at when I shared this design with them. So that's what's cool about the coordinates in the URL. Cool. So that's how you share. And then another thing for collaboration. So I talked about real-time collaboration, sharing your design files, and then there's also leaving comments. So if I do share this design with somebody and they open it up and I want them to go through the design and leave comments, what they can do is click on the comments feature here. And now anywhere in the design on any of the messages, they can leave a comment, right? And I can see some of these comments here, like there's a comment here, there's a comment here, comment here, comment here. So I can, for example, here, if I wanted to leave a comment, say I do something like that, and then I can do @ and tag somebody. So I started typing Vittorio. Vittorio Bonifay is the co-founder and CEO of Botsociety. So if I click that, now I've tagged him in this comment, click on comment, and now he's tagged. So he'll get an email notification that I tagged him in this design file. He can open up the email, click on the link that's in that email, and he'll arrive in this design on this comment so that he can reply to it if he wants. And so once we go through and we resolve this comment, I can resolve it like this. And now it's resolved. So it's a lot like Google Docs, for example. So that is commenting. Okay, so that's how you can collaborate with your team. Another thing actually about collaboration, which is cool, is, so I showed you earlier how you can do the play button, right? So I can choose to preview this experience in the play. And actually, if you wanted someone to, if you wanted to collaborate with somebody and you wanted them to view this video preview, this play, then they can also do that when they arrive on your design. So even if they have only the can view permission, if they enter your design and they start leaving comments, they can also press play and preview the experience. And now, even from here, what they can do is they can press pause and click on the comments and then leave comments during the play. So as this is playing, they can leave comments anywhere on any of these messages. So that's a cool way to gather feedback as well. Okay. Now, the next thing is user testing your design. So user testing your prototype. So we've designed this order coffee path, this curbside pickup path. I'm actually going to go back to this design file. Since I lost my connection earlier, this also has to get refreshed. So I have this design file that we were working on earlier. And so if I want to user test this file, what I can do is I can go here on my navigation bar. So far, this whole time we've been in edit mode. So there's 3 modes on Botsociety, and one of them is edit mode. And that's where you edit your design. The one underneath it is prototype mode. And so if I click on that, now in this mode, you see a couple things change. Pay attention to this top right corner when I shift through these modes. So in prototype mode, I now have 2 new buttons. One of them says automatic test and another one says invite testers. So the first one that I want to go over is invite testers. What I can do with this feature, it's a lot like sharing your design from the edit mode. But instead of sharing your design so that someone can look at the flows and leave comments or make changes, you're sharing your prototype and they can test it. So from here, I can input their email and then send the invite. And this will send them a special link to your prototype where they can actually test your prototype and respond, like leave whatever responses they want to your chatbot. So I'll show you that in a second. So you can either input their email or you can copy the link and send them the link, and that'll also take them to that prototype where they can test. You see there's also another option here that says test yourself. And I'm going to click on this because it shows you the same experience that the tester would see if you invited them. So I'll click on this, it'll open up the design file again and then take me to this test. Boom. Okay. So I'm looking at a different screen now. And I have this device here, the mobile phone device. And I have this first message that we designed when we were in edit mode, which is, hi there, I'm the virtual assistant for Starbucks. What can I do for you? And this is different from the play mode, from the video preview, because in the video preview, it would just show you the next message and the next message and the next message, unless there was a fork in the road, in which case it would ask you to choose the path that you want to go down, right? For this, it's not showing me the next message because actually I'm in charge of writing what the next message is. So you see, it says here text message, so I can input whatever I want. So what can I do for you? Let's say we're running a test where we give the tester the scenario. So we tell them, hey, like, can you test my prototype? The use case is ordering a coffee. So we told them what the scenario is. And so I'm going to respond, order coffee. Boom. And then the next message is, yes, I can help you order a coffee. What kind of coffee would you like? I'm going to write, what coffee do you have? Okay, and now I've inputted that, but since there's a fork in the road, it's going to ask me which path to continue down. So I can choose to pick the can I get a flat white path, or I can choose what kind of coffee do you guys have. And the logic behind this is that this is a test that doesn't have natural language processing, right? We haven't developed anything yet. It's still just a design. It's a prototype that comes from our design, and it's cool because you can run this test where the tester can respond whatever they want, but yeah, since there's no natural language processing, we still need to kind of guide the tester through the experience by giving them options of how they want to continue through the test. So in this case, I'm going to click on what kind of coffee do you guys have, because that's similar to what I wrote. And you'll see that's going to take me down the coffee options path. We offer the following. And I'm going to type flat white. And it's going to show me the next message. And again, if I had typed in latte, it would still show me, yes, a flat white, great choice. Is regular milk okay for you? Because there's no natural language processing. But this is very powerful for if you're doing testing before handing over to the engineering team, where they do train the natural language processing, because we can do this from our design. I mean, this workshop has been going on for an hour. I've been going very slow. But if you're designing your own conversational flows, you're designing them fast, you can run a test after like 20 minutes of designing, right? You can design some conversational flows, go to prototype mode, send that link to someone and ask them to test your order coffee chatbot. And as I'm going through this design, as the tester is going through the design, you are actually capturing all of their responses. You see here, it says pending tester data. So, and then there's these little icons here, which are pending utterances. So what this is, and there's another one here. These are all the responses that I wrote when I was testing the design. So if I click on one of these, like, can I get a coffee? I'll see what the tester wrote. Oh, okay, so they wrote order coffee. And the reason it's called a pending utterance is because you can actually add it to your design as an utterance. So you can design multiple utterances for individual messages. So if this is relevant, if I think this is a relevant utterance to add to this message, I can approve it. And that'll add it to my message here. If I don't think it's relevant, then I'm going to discard it. So I'm going to get rid of it. If I think it's a cool message, like maybe it's something that I should consider for my design, but it's not an utterance for this message, I can also select the create new, which it says here, the message will be created at the end of this path. So it'll be added at the end of the path, and then I can move it anywhere else in my design, because I didn't want to delete it because I thought it was a cool response from the user, but it wasn't relevant to the message, so I'm not going to add it as an utterance. Okay, so I'm going to approve this because it's relevant, and you'll see what happens. Now I have 2 out of 2 here, and these are now utterances. So you see it says, can I get a coffee? That was my original message in my design. And then I have another one, which is the second one, and it's order coffee, which was the tester data, the response from the tester that that response, I've added it to my design. So that's super cool. And then here I have another one. Can I get a flat white? The person just said flat white. That's also relevant. I'll add that. So I have 2 here. What coffee do you have? Yep, that's also a different way that the person may ask the same thing. So in my design, I wrote, what kind of coffee do you guys have? But maybe they just write, what coffee do you have? So I'll add that as well. Boom. So I've gone through the tester data, and I've accepted all 3 of those because I thought that they were relevant. So that's how you can really quickly run a user test with your prototype and gather that tester data and apply it to your design. The other one, the other option in this mode, in the prototype mode, is the automatic test option. And this is similar to the invite testers option, but instead of inviting testers like humans to test your design for you, you're in this option, in this mode, in this feature rather, you're asking to run an automatic test. And so literally, instead of a human testing your design, a bot, like another bot, is going to test your chatbot design, your prototype. And this is a beta feature because it's not always perfect. We're still, trying to make it better. It's also the language model, like the bot that is testing your design is not even ours. It comes from OpenAI. It's called GPT-3. It's their latest language model. It's very powerful. So I'll show you in a minute how powerful it is because the responses are pretty relevant. But this feature is in beta because it's not always perfect. And you see here it says, you can ask Botsociety to test your design and see what it says, just like a human would. And then you can approve or reject, which I showed you. This feature is currently in beta and its results may vary. However, you will not lose any previous work in your design. So we add that note because you shouldn't be scared of this feature. It's very cool and you should try it out at least once to see the very powerful language model by GPT-3 or by OpenAI. So if I click on start automatic test, whoops, my magic mouse zoomed in on my browser. So start automatic test. Uh-oh, demo fail. Let's try again. Do I have to be in beta, Vittorio?
Give me a second. I think I was fiddling with it right now.
Okay. So anyway, what would happen if I did this, which I'll do in a second, if I ran the automatic test, then it would show me again all those blue pending utterances under all of the user messages, and I could review them just like I reviewed the pending utterances from the human. And you would actually notice that the responses are pretty similar to the responses that I wrote as a human, which is very impressive. And so the automatic test just takes a matter of seconds. So that's very cool because you can run multiple tests within a short amount of time and gather a bunch of response data, like test data, that you can then look through and choose to add to your design as utterances. So it's very cool to be able to test your design that quickly. And regarding these utterances, you can actually also add them to your design manually. So you don't have to rely on the testers giving you utterances that are pending that you then accept or approve or discard. Instead, you can also, if you want to add the utterances yourself, you can do that yourself. So if I click on this message, can I get a coffee? We have, can I get a coffee, which was the first message that I wrote in my design. And then we have this second utterance, right? So I can click on this icon here, 1 out of 2. I click next to see the other one, which is order coffee, which we got from a tester when we ran the test. And then if I click on this again, there's an option that says add new. So I can click on add new. And now this is utterance 3 of 3. It automatically copied and pasted the second utterance so that I can make quick modifications to it if I wanted to, or I can just delete the whole thing and write something from scratch. So something like, maybe they say coffee order, or I want to place a coffee order. Okay, save that. And now I have 3 utterances. 1, 2, 3. And so you can either take the approach of adding the utterances yourself, or if you want testers to give you responses during tests that you can then review and then add those responses as utterances, then you can do that with the prototype mode, like I showed you earlier. Cool, so that's user testing your prototype. So we talked about collaborating on your design with teammates. Keep losing connection. Sorry for this is probably annoying for you guys that are following along in the workshop. So you can gather feedback on your design, user test your prototype, and now the last 2 points that I want to talk about before we go to a Q&A is exporting your design to different formats and handing over designs for engineering. So the first one, exporting your designs to different formats. This is, if I go back to edit mode, there's a couple things. Sure.
You want to give another try to auto tester?
Sure, let's do it. I'll refresh just to make sure. Go back here. Okay, cool. So it's running the automatic test. Boom, so fast. So you see now we have these here, pending utterances. And this came from the automatic test. So if I click on this, the automatic test gave us, can you send me a Starbucks card, $5. Kind of relevant. I'd like a venti latte, very relevant. So that's how, this is crazy that a bot can give us relevant responses like that fast. And you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to set any parameters, anything like that. It just ran the test for you in 5 seconds, just like that. So I'm going to approve this one. And that's cool because we see now through this automatic test that like, oh, okay, what about sizes? I designed my happy path and I never asked the person what size that they want. And in this case, this has me thinking, okay, maybe I should design a happy path where, the user gives me the size. And then if they ask about sizes, I need to have a path where I tell them what the sizes are. So this was a very relevant response. Here, let's see this one. Yes, that's fine. So what else is in a flat white? Interesting. That's also something that we might have to think about. I would like vanilla with my flat white, please. Wow. So very, very interesting stuff. No thanks. Cool. So I think this is awesome. Maybe it's not that useful for some of the stuff that you guys are working on, but highly recommend giving it a try because you'll be impressed by the results. And like I said, it's not always perfect. There are sometimes moments where it gives you something that's completely doesn't make sense. This is kind of weird. For this, I guess we would just have like a fallback path where we tell the person that they can't get a Starbucks card through this virtual assistant. But yeah, so expect good results, but sometimes, don't be surprised if there's something that completely doesn't make sense because it is still, it's still not perfect. Okay, cool. So going back to the last 2 points on the agenda, exporting your designs to different formats and handing over designs for engineering. So exporting your designs to different formats. What you can do on Botsociety is instead of sharing your design by adding people to join you in the design file, either on can edit or can view permission, what you can do also is export this design, export your work into a different format. And so the first thing is we have this button here, this icon, which says download. And so if I click on this, we have a couple options. So we have download video and we have download PDF. So what download video is, if I click on that, it's going to ask me to select the device for my design that I would like to be downloaded. In this case, I only designed an experience for one device, which was the mobile device. And then I can initiate a video download. If I do that, it says download in progress. I'm going to receive my video in an email that Botsociety is sending to me. And it may take up to 5 minutes. Got it. So the video that's being downloaded is a video of this main experience. And in this case, it's actually going to download also this path. So it's going to go on this path, come back, and keep going down this path. And I can check the status of this download. See, it's still in progress, so I haven't received an email for it yet. And you can see all, like if you initiate a bunch of downloads throughout your time working on this design file, you can see all the status updates there for all those downloads or download requests. And another way to download a video is also by clicking on the 3-dotted menu at the top of any path to download a video of that path. So if I wanted to download a video of this path here, then I can download video like that. And what the video looks like is basically, so if I click preview, video preview, it's this here. So it's just the phone device and all the content within the phone. So you're getting an MP4, a GIF, and an AVI format video of that device and the experience that's playing inside of it. So that's downloading a video. And then the other format that we can export to is PDF. And so for this, the way it works is if I click on download PDF, it says that you should adjust the size of your export by selecting the letter size. By default, it is letter or A4, but we recommend A3. And if you need to move your design, close this dialog and zoom out, move your design until you visualize the portion of your design that you would like to download. So because I want to download this whole flow and not just this part of my design, I want to zoom out until I can see the whole flow like that, right? So I'm framing it on my canvas. And then I go back to here, download PDF, I'll click export. And now I can see that portion of my design of, that whole conversational flow on the canvas here. And this is kind of big. I'll switch to A3. That's what we mean by changing the paper size. So I can do A3 and now it's a little closer. A4, so that starts cutting it off. So I'll go back to A3 like that. And you'll notice that everything else is hidden. So we don't have the menu, the navigation bars. We just have the flows and the connections between them. So like that, I can click save. And that'll download this PDF. Another connection problem. Sorry guys, bear with me. Let's try it again. Boom. So it should download soon. You should see it at the bottom. It'll come in a sec. So it's downloading and now I have a PDF that I can, so it's actually on my desktop. I can see it here. So if I open up the PDF, I can see all the flows, and it doesn't matter how much you zoom out to capture your design. You can be zoomed out really far and download the PDF and give it to your engineering team, for example, if they want to see the flows, and they can zoom in and the resolution is really, really good. So it's high resolution no matter how far you zoom out. Okay, so that's exporting to different formats. And another way to export to a different format is actually in another mode. So I went over the edit mode, I went over the prototype mode, and now there's the third mode, which is build mode. And so here, this is also exporting to a different format. But now what we're thinking about is also handing over your designs for engineering. So in this mode, what you can do, this is the last topic that I'll cover on the agenda, is you can export to a format so that it can be used with a different technology. So for example, if you wanted to export your design to Dialogflow, because that's what your engineering team is using, you can do that because we have a native integration with Dialogflow. If you want to export it to Rasa, then you can also do that because we have another native integration with Rasa. And so these are different technologies, therefore your engineering team to develop your design, to train the natural language processing. And then from there, they can deploy it onto the environment where it belongs so that people can actually use the chatbot that you created. So if I wanted to export to Rasa, actually, there's also a third option here, export CSV, which is another thing you can do. So if you wanted to export a CSV file of your design, you can hand that over to your engineering team so they can see all the content, like all the responses from the bot, from the user, all of the utterances that we designed / the utterances we accepted from our testing data, all the intents and entities, all that would be in the CSV file. And actually on the topic of intents and entities, that's something that you have to define in this build mode before you export to a technology like Rasa or Dialogflow. So let's do Rasa. So here, what I want to do now is I want to prepare my design for export to Rasa. And what I have to do is I have to define the metadata. What that means is I want to define the intents and the entities in my design, because those are that's important information that our engineering team is going to need in order to develop our chatbot design. And so here we have our order coffee path, and you see it's marked up as new path intent 0. So Botsociety automatically gives this this path an intent name. It's just something generic like this, new path intent 0. But you can change this, you can rename it. So I can click on the drop down and change it if I wanted to, or I can start typing something else like order coffee, and I can add that, add order coffee, and assign this intent. So now this whole path has been assigned with the order coffee intent. So I've defined that. If I didn't want to create a new intent, I could have just renamed the new path intent 0 by going here, clicking on edit, and then I can edit this name. And I can delete it actually as well. And then here we have copy options. So I'm going to rename this path. This is untitled path 0, this one. I'm going to rename this coffee options. So now it's defined as coffee options. Here we have no keep regular milk. So we have that's what our intent is called. This is called other milk. If I wanted to, I could rename it like this. Okay, and then I'll rename this as well. So I'm defining these intents, and I'll delete this one actually. Okay, and the naming structure that you use for defining the intents can be anything that you want. It can be whatever naming structure you and your engineering team are using for the intents. And so you can define those. Now, the next thing that I want to do is entities. So an entity is like those words or phrases within your design where you know, it's like a variable. So for example, when we gave the options to the user, latte, flat white, Americano, and drip coffee, when they told us that they want a flat white, that's an entity, because not every single user that interacts with our chatbot is always going to say, can I get a flat white? Instead, the chatbot should be looking at the response to this question here, what kind of coffee would you like? They should be looking at the response and figuring out what coffee that they want based on that entity that we created, that we defined. So to add an entity in our design, what you do is you just click on flat white and you drag to highlight like that. And now I can name it coffee type. Let's say that's what our entity is called, flat white. And you see here, this flat white was also marked as an entity all throughout our design. And we can also add latte to that same entity. See, it's under the same entity here. Americano and drip coffee. And so now we have all of those types of coffees defined under the coffee type entity. So if the user says flat white, the bot will understand that that's a flat white. And here in the subsequent messages, it'll say, yes, a flat white, great choice. Is regular milk okay for you? If the person said flat latte, can I get a latte? Then the next message here would be, yes, a latte, great choice. Is regular milk okay for you, right? So that's how you define entities. We can also do the same thing for milk, right? We can define regular milk, oat milk, so that throughout our design, when the person tells us the milk type, the messages, the subsequent messages will use that answer that the user gave us throughout those messages. Okay, so we added our intents, we added our entities. Now, what we can do is we can export to Rasa, and that'll download a zip file to our computer, to our desktop, and that zip file will contain all of those artifacts that we can hand over to our engineering team, and they can use those to develop our bot with Rasa. If they were using Dialogflow, then you do the same thing, but instead of selecting Rasa, you select Dialogflow, and then here you actually, it says login with Google. And what you're doing here is you're logging in to your Dialogflow account from within Botsociety, and that'll connect both your Botsociety account with your Dialogflow account. And so when you do that, this button here gets replaced with export. And when you click export, it'll shoot all of these, all this metadata to your Dialogflow project that you're working on in your Dialogflow account. Or you can choose to create a new project. They call them agents. So you can choose to send the data to an existing agent, or you can choose to create a new one, all from within Botsociety, and it'll send all that information to Dialogflow. So if your engineering team is using Dialogflow, you just do this really quickly, and now they're inheriting all that metadata so they can continue the build process. And the reason it's so powerful is because with previous classic design tools or like workaround tools, whether it's Sketch and Figma, or if you're using spreadsheets or flowcharts, first off, it's not a dedicated design tool. So you're not designing something that you can preview and prototype and test and define, the utterances on and preview them and all that. You can't do that. That's the first thing. And secondly, when you share that flowchart or that spreadsheet with your development team, with your engineering team, they're not getting any metadata. They're not getting any artifacts or like files that are formatted for Rasa. They're just getting a spreadsheet, and then they have to start from scratch, basically. Or if they're just looking at a flowchart, they're referencing the flowchart, but they're still having to do everything manually because they don't have any starting point. With this, you're giving them that metadata, you're giving them those artifacts and those files so that they do have a starting point, and that speeds up the entire design to development process. Great, so that's it. That's the Botsociety Workshop, our second one. Thanks to everyone for joining me and Vittorio. It was great having you, and now I'm going to open it up for a Q&A. I saw throughout that there was questions being asked. I think Vittorio was monitoring the chat and answering questions here and there. Vittorio, do you have, were there any questions that you think would be best answered by me sharing my screen, or did you answer all of them?
I think we're in a good place. Maybe there's more questions or other doubts like that. I see a lot of love in the chat for you as well.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, guys. Let's see, there's some recent questions. Can intents from Dialogflow be imported into Botsociety? Good question. Vittorio, you're more technical than me. Do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, we don't have an import feature, but we're looking at adding more integrations for the build mode. And one of them is going to be an import from Dialogflow, but it's still not available.
Awesome. Can I also confirm with, okay, thanks for ordering, and automatically fill in the exact type of coffee? Alice, can you expand on that? And if you'd like, you can also actually, now that we're in the Q&A, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask the question, feel free.
Okay, that's easier. Thank you for the workshop, by the way. Yeah, I was wondering, you can answer, the bot can answer back like, okay, thank you for your order. But could it also say, thank you for your order, and then repeat what was ordered? automatically.
Yes, great
So
question.
fill in the blank space with what was ordered.
Yeah, good question. So exactly, you can do that. So if I did confirmed, we're preparing your order, and then maybe I changed it to be, we're preparing your flat white with oat milk order, something like that, or maybe I can even take out order. So we're preparing your flat white with oat milk, like that, and I save that. If I go back to the build mode, since we marked flat white as an entity, you see here, it says confirmed, we're preparing your flat white. And we haven't done oat milk yet, so I can redo that actually. I'll mark it like this, and I'll do milk type, right? And the same, you can follow the same logic with sizes too. So if in my design, I asked which size that they want, and then later in the build mode, I defined all the entities for the sizes, you know, grande, tall, and venti. Then in my confirmation message at the bottom here, confirmed we're preparing your venti flat white with oat milk. And since I would mark up all those entities, no matter what the user says throughout the conversation with the bot, at the end, it'll have that order, right? Does that make sense?
It does, and that's brilliant.
Awesome. Yeah, great question. Okay. So if anyone else has questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask instead of typing, if that's faster. Otherwise, I guess that wraps things up. I'll wait another minute and think about what else I can show you that I haven't showed you yet. I guess one of the things is, maybe you noticed when I pressed video preview, it says generic bot up here, but in the other design, it said Starbucks. So how to do that, there's a couple ways. So I can either click on this avatar on either side, and that'll open up the design settings, or I can click on the settings icon at the bottom left here, and that'll open the same design settings. And here I can change the name to whatever I want. So I'll do Starbucks, and then I can upload a picture here of the Starbucks logo. And then there are a couple other things that I can do is like I can change the export background. So actually when you export a video, there is a little tiny background around the edge of the iPhone, since the iPhone isn't perfectly rectangular, like it has curves. So a little bit of the background shows, and by default, it's black or like a dark blue, and you can change that if you want. So if you wanted to put that video on your website, or not your website, but let's say like a presentation deck, like PowerPoint, and your slides are red, then you can change this export background to the same color red, so that when you put it on top of your presentation, on top of your PowerPoint, it'll blend in with the background instead of having that ugly little, color behind it that right now is black. And then another thing is these are voice settings, so not relevant for what we're doing here. So if you were designing a voice assistant, like for Google Assistant or Alexa, you can change the language actually. We support all the Google languages. And so that when you do the video preview for voice assistants, you're actually hearing the audio. And if you switch this to, let's say Dutch, then then you write all of your messages in Dutch with your Dutch keyboard, then the video preview, the Google Assistant will be saying everything in Dutch with a Dutch accent. So that's how to do that. And then let me show you, if I click video preview, you'll see that it says Starbucks now instead of generic bot. So that's how we changed it. I guess last thing that I can show that I didn't show because it's a little bit more advanced. I guess I could have showed it, but the thing with this design, all I designed was a mobile chatbot. What you can actually do on this preset is, remember, it was called your own app or website. So you can actually design a website chatbot as well. And to do that, when you're designing, let me create a new path. When you create a new message, you see that there's these tabs at the top. And by default, it's on mobile. But there's another option, which is desktop. And so if I switch to desktop and I add a message like this, that's a desktop message. You see how the icons are different. If I go on user side, I can do the same thing. So I can design a path just for a desktop experience if it's a different experience than the mobile experience. For example, if it's like curbside pickup, that's our use case, there probably isn't a web experience for that, because that's pretty specific to someone that's picking up their order. They don't have their computer with them. They just have their mobile phone. So maybe that's how that experience is. But then maybe there are use cases that are specific only to desktop and you want to design those as well. But for ordering coffee, maybe that's both of them, right? Maybe that's both. The experience is going to be the same for both mobile and desktop. And so for that, what you can do is when you're designing these messages, you can toggle both of these on. So you see how now there's a little X. So that means that I activated both of them. And I can actually change a little bit of the content. Like if I wanted to, I can change this content to be different. Like, so what I mean by that is like maybe the flows act the exact same way, but maybe the messages are a little different depending on whether they're on mobile or desktop. So now that I've done that and I save, now this message is for both mobile and desktop. And if I did change the content a little bit, like let's say, what can I help you with? You'll see that that's for mobile. What can I help you with? And for desktop, it's a different question. What can I do for you? So kind of a bad example, but like the point is that you can design a multimodal experience on Botsociety, an experience for multiple devices instead of just for one device. And also, when you are designing both of these devices, you can also preview both of them. So when I press play here, I can click on this other device and I can see what this would look like on desktop. And this is just like a generic desktop. And you see it automatically switched to mobile because the next messages are only for mobile. I didn't design them for desktop. So I'd have to design all of them for desktop for me to be able to see the desktop experience for all the messages. Cool. Anything else? I can change the sender as well. So this is kind of a cool feature. So if I go back to the design settings, I can actually add another bot. So if you're working on, let's say, a chatbot that has multiple bots, or maybe it's a experience where there's a bot, but then like maybe if the user isn't understanding the bot, you want the experience to switch to a live agent. You can do that by adding another bot here, and then you click on name, and maybe you do something like live agent. And then you can upload a picture of a person. And so now, if I click on select sender, now I have that other option here, a live agent. So if I wanted to show you what this looks like, maybe at the bottom here, we'll send you a confirmation email and text you when your order is ready. Maybe we have on this side, we want the confirmation email, or the text message rather, to come from a live agent. So it could be, hey, this is Dylan from Starbucks. Starbucks. I have your order ready for pickup. Because I prepared the order, so maybe there's some kind of feature that where once the order is ready, the person that prepared it sends a text message to the person, so it's more personal, right? So now I have the conversational experience was with the bot, but then we can also introduce a live agent at any point, or another bot if we wanted to do that as well. And that's it. Cool. Let me see if there's any more questions. Do we have video recording from previous workshops published? So we've only had, good question, we've only had one other workshop before this, and it was the same use case. So I went through the same design, and that's on YouTube. That's on our YouTube page. So this is like another workshop with the same use case. And then actually for future workshops, if we still have people here, let's see, we still have some people. I actually have if you guys don't mind, it would be super, super helpful. We have a very short survey to tell us about which other topics you may want us to cover in future workshops. So let me grab that URL and I will send it in the chat here. Boom. So if you see that, please, 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 it'd be super helpful for us. If you just fill out that survey, it's very short, it's like 3 questions. You can let us know what topics you want to see in future workshops. We plan on having these workshops once a month. And if we get some cool responses with very specific topics, we'd be happy to cover them. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes just so this URL is visible in the chat, but that's the end of the workshop. Thanks again